What is the scariest paranormal encounter you have witnessed?
Paranormal. Man in Black. Okay, so many years ago, I'd say around 2009 or 2008, I was staying the night at my friend's house for the first time in my life since I was so young and had never done this before. I was very homesick. Later in the night, I should mention I lived in a small town, so my great grandmother lived across the street from my friend. At the time, my mother and the main lived across town, so there was no way I could walk to my house, so I went to my grandmother's. I got my things together and headed out the doors. As I was crossing the streets, which was on a hill, at the top of the hill, I saw a black figure of a man or person. I stayed still in fright. It kept getting closer but not walking. It was sort of floating until it was under the same street lamp, but the scary part was that no matter what light was hitting it, the figure stayed pitch black. I then ran to the house and banged on the door screaming he was gonna get me. My grandmother opened the door and let me in. Nothing happened the rest of that night. I should add it was around 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the witching hour, if that means anything. Did anyone else have an experience like this with this figure or know what it could have been? I know for a fact it wasn't human. Weird. Not sure if this is where I should post this. In 2017, my dad kept having night terrors of a person being trapped. This went on for about a month until my brother had his wreck and it completely paralyzed him. The dreams stopped. This morning he tells me he's been having those same dreams again for a week now. And my mom just now called us from Georgia to tell us that my sister has been in a wreck and is being taken to the hospital with head trauma. It is just strange to me that every time he has these dreams, something happens afterwards. Whether it is a month or days, does anyone know what this is? Or maybe it's just a coincidence.
Almost had a house fire from a stove turning on at 1:15 a.m. We've been having issues with entities in our house since we moved in 2 years ago. There are 7 people, including my boyfriend and myself. Tonight at 1:15ish am, I heard a crash from downstairs, and had my boyfriend and his brother go down with me to check. His parents and nephew were asleep and hadn't heard it. No one else upstairs heard it, but a fan fell out of the window in the kitchen, onto the left-hand side of the stove and ended up resting on the counter. Both burners on the right-hand side of the stove were turned onto high. There was plastic wrap sitting on the stove starting to smoke. I was down in the kitchen not even 5 minutes beforehand and everything was fine. If I hadn't felt the need to look, our house would be on fire, and I don't know what caused it. Update. So, as much as it seemed like something was trying to set the house on fire, the incident was recreated exactly this morning while breakfast was being made, minus the plastic wrap. Both burners were turned on by the fan falling, and now I feel stupid for freaking out so bad. However, there was someone outside of our house last night wandering around our fenced side yard. The gate was left wide open. So, no ghost, just an accident. My house has weird stuff happen, but I don't think
Ouija board contact. Hi everyone. My girlfriend was at the beach with a few friends the last week and they were playing with Ouija board. My woman and I have had some pretty crazy spiritual experiences together, so I didn't really expect anything. That blew me away entirely when she was talking about the experience. But from what she told me, it was pretty intense. She told me they'd made contact with a demon who calls itself Darth. Yes, like Star Wars. Darth told her that it was attached to her because he saw something special about her, and her psychic told her more or less the same thing. Not to mention the fact that we've had multiple paranormal experiences together. Darth told her outright that he had malicious intent, flipped the board, tried to move the planchette off the board, and tried to count down through the numbers, all multiple times, and all extremely aggressively. At one point, she says she went to sleep, but was apparently still talking to everyone else, but was acting really strangely. She giggled a lot, talked strangely, and didn't know what a jewel was. Probably the most disturbing part of the whole thing was when she drew a sketch of what Darth looked like, but she said she wasn't in control at that time, and the sketch looks nothing like her drawing style. Yesterday she came home from the beach, and me and another friend were in the basement watching a movie with her around 8. At multiple points through the movie, we heard footsteps upstairs. Her dogs were in the basement with us and the door was shut, but at multiple points they went up the stairs and started barking at the closed door. We assumed her mom had come home, until the movie had ended and Hannah, the woman, got a text from her mom telling her she wouldn't be home until later. It was at this point Hannah told me what happened with the Ouija board. Hell.
My first time writing a post, but I saw it fitting to post on here. I completely forgot this situation happened until my friends were talking weird experiences they'd had. It's not a very exciting story, but this is the only really clear paranormal thing that's happened in my life. So to start, I was working night shift at my small town Boston Pizza. I had heard many of my co-workers said they had saw things after hours, but I thought they were just trying to freak me out being young and new, so I didn't think anything of it. We were still open and had a couple stragglers, but I wanted to get a start on my closing tasks. I went to clean the washrooms, forgetting about their comments, and went inside the stalls. As soon as I locked the stall, I saw a small child on the ground poke its head out under the stall. Thinking this was unusual but not entirely implausible situation, I asked the little girl if she was looking for her mommy, but she didn't say anything and just moved away from under the stall back to the open washroom space. I went to open the stall to help her, but when I opened it she wasn't there. It was a small washroom, so I thought she must have ran out the door. I later asked my co-worker if they saw a little girl run out the washroom, and they told me there hadn't been any families or small children in the restaurant for at least a couple hours. This really shook me up. It's so sorry for the mistakes, and also it is a very long story, but each and everything in it is true. I have also posted this story AskReddit comment. There are a lot of things happening and I don't know what to do about it. I have been seeing black figure and can see them since a long time. I sleepwalk and also sleep talk, but I do not have sleep paralysis. I do not remember when was the first time I saw the figure, but I remember being terrified of it. I remember once I had a dream and I started sleepwalking out of the main door, calling out a guy's name, which I do not remember now, and telling him to wait for me. My aunt stopped me and asked me in the morning who was the guy, the name which I forgot, and I told her that I have never heard this guy's name. There are a lot of times I have seen a guy in my dreams trying to take me away somewhere, and I would not go with him even though it felt like I knew him for a long time. I moved out when I was 18 and I am living alone in my house, and so after moving to the place I started the figure once a week. I could see standing near my bed and near my bathroom door, and at first I thought I might be hallucinating, but then I realized I was not, as I started seeing the figure even when I was wide awake, and I was always scared of it. I was going through a very bad phase of life after I moved out, and I have noticed that whenever I am not mentally stable I can see it more than when I am stable and happy. I would see the figure at night after I switched off my lights, so I kept my lights on at night. After just seeing this figure for a long time I started feeling the figure too. Once I closed my eyes and just fell asleep, I saw something held my hand and was trying to take me somewhere. I screamed in my dreams, and when I got up my hands where the man held me in my dream was completely red and paining. I still don't know what to think of it. One night I was trying to sleep and I felt someone sitting on my bed. My eyes were closed and I was scared, so I didn't want to open my eyes to confront what was there sitting on my bed. Then this thing started coming near me and then it was over me. I could feel something hold my hand, so I can't move it. I tried to move it but it didn't work. And I could feel someone breathing on my face. It kissed my neck and was breathing near my face for a while, and I heard him say, "I will not leave you," and then it left. When I opened my eyes there was nobody in the room or the house. I know I was not asleep as I was using my phone and I just kept it aside to try to sleep when it happened. Also that day I was tired of seeing the figure, and so I asked it to leave me alone, and I guess this is why he came to talk me. He won't. It also did not like me being near any men, as I would constantly see the shadow when I would be with my then boyfriend. I was once kissing my boyfriend and I saw the figure looking at me with anger in his eyes, and then I freaked out and went back to my place. Whenever I am with a guy I would see this figure as it is very angry, but whenever I see it alone I would see it with no expression at all. I had a mental breakdown in between as I broke up with my problems and was having family issues, and every day I would see this guy come in my dreams and tell me to go away with him. But I never went with him, and also I started seeing him frequently. I even visited a psychiatrist thinking that maybe it's all just me dreaming or hallucinating, but he told me nothing was wrong with me except for anxiety. When I told my mom about the figure she thought I was dreaming, but still she bought a book called Hanuman Chalisa, which is a small book comprised of mantras or chants which is believed to keep evil away. I always kept it with me, but 2 months back my grandpa died and I had to leave immediately, and so I forgot to take the book, and when I came back I found it in a bad condition. It looked like it was kept in water for at least a month and the pages were falling apart and the text was unreadable. There were mold growing and the strange this is that nobody was in my house and there were other books which was older than that book and they were completely fine. Everything is really freaking me out and there are other stories too, but this is the gist of 5 years of my life. Can someone tell me what I can do, as I went to a Muslim priest and he gave me a pendant, Torres, which did not work and I could still see it. And also sorry as the story is too long. Thank you for the love, you dirty Calabasas kids. Comment down below what video I should do next. Until next time, the Calabasas Bitx is out.